Fake Tang Kien Man was executed by firing squad in 2002 for robbery. A month later, real Tang Kien Man appeared in his hometown, revealing a mysterious murder case in 1997. In the summer of 2002, the People's Court of Yichang City, Hubei Province, sent a notice to Duong Kien Man's family that he had been executed for robbery, asking the family to come and claim his body. Man's father did not show any surprise or sadness. He just said he did not want to go pick up his son's body. According to the court's verdict, on the evening of September 30th, 2000, Man followed a woman on the streets of Yichang to steal her cell phone and wallet. After that, Man continuously committed crimes, robbing 3 women and seriously injuring 2. He also contacted a victim many times, intending to defraud and extort money. Man was arrested on August 19, 2001. At the first instance trial on March 5, 2002, Man was sentenced to death for robbery, fraud, and extortion. Man appealed but was rejected by the Hubei Provincial Supreme Court. The verdict was executed on June 6, 2002. Unexpectedly, more than a month later, the man who was thought to have been executed in Yichang returned to his hometown. Man is 30 years old and works year-round in another province. Because of disagreements with her father, Man did not tell her family where she was going, nor did she leave her contact information. In July 2002, when Man returned from Beijing to the village gate, everyone looked at him as if he saw a ghost. Man affirmed that he had never been to Yichang and did not do anything illegal. Man's family knew there might be problems with the case, but never went to any agency to clarify the truth. It was not until 3 years later, due to many obstacles at work, due to the cancellation of her household registration, that Man went to court to request that her household registration be restored. He said he lost his ID card many years ago. It's possible his identity was used by his cousin Truong Van Hoa. Hoa is Man's cousin, lives in Tuongduong, Hubei. The two sides have not seen each other for many years. From this clue, the authorities confirmed that the person executed by firing squad in 2002 was Truong Van Hoa, a fugitive murderer. However, this information is not made public. According to records, on July 26, 1997, the body of a young man was found in a pond in Tuong Chau District, Tuongduong City. The victim died from strangulation. On July 30th, 4 men went to the police station to report and identify the body. The victim was identified as Li Tuan, 23 years old, a security room employee at the city hospital. 4 people testified that Tuan was murdered by his friend Truong Van Hoa, 25 years old. Chin Hoa called them after escaping and confessed that he and a man named Tu Hao murdered Tuan and then dumped the body to train their courage. Hao is Hoa's middle school classmate and a music teacher at the elementary school. Hoa sells paper products, so she repeatedly offered to send goods to schools to sell, but Hao refused. While searching for the suspect, the police received 2 letters of denunciation from Hoa. The letter states that at around 9 p.m. on July 24th, when the 3 people were drinking at Hoa's house, Tuan was hugged tightly by Hoa so that Hao could use a rope to strangle him. 20 minutes later, Hao used a hammer to hit Tuan on the head. After that, the 2 drove motorbikes to dispose of the body. Hao used a knife to destroy the victim's face and then threw the clothes and weapon on the sidewalk. The 2 left the bike at a motorbike repair shop in Taoduong City and took the bus home. The 2 denunciation letters also drew notes on where the body was dumped and where the motorbike was left. Hoa pushed the main responsibility for killing people and disposing of bodies to Hao. Regarding her whereabouts, Hoa said, "I committed a heinous crime. I couldn't sleep for several nights. My conscience was tormenting me. When you saw me, I either jumped into the river and drowned or took sleeping pills. Died on the mountain." However, in reality, Hoa did not commit suicide, but fled to nearby Yichang to continue committing crimes until she was arrested. police found an identification card with the name Duong Kien Man on him. He also claimed to be Man, from Hanam Province. According to the information on the identification card, the police sent a document to Man's household registration, confirming that this person was in the locality. They then transferred the suspect to judicial authorities. Hoa was executed under her cousin's name, not revealing her real name until the last moment. This makes his murder not prosecuted by the law. Hoa's death also left Hao, the person he accused, with no one to confront. While Hoa fled, Hao was arrested, convicted of murder, and received a suspended death sentence. For many years, Hao and his family continuously complained. Tu Hao, right cover, photographed with his parents during the 1997 Lunar New Year. Half a year later, Hao was imprisoned. Photo, Beijing Shijian. Tu Hao, right cover. Photographed with his parents during the 1997 Lunar New Year. Half a year later, Hao was imprisoned. Photo, Beijing Shijian. In 1997, the police considered Hoa's 2 denunciation letters as important clues to solving the case. At around 10 p.m. on July 30th, 1997, Hao, 22 years old, was arrested at home. Within half a month after his arrest, Hao confessed a total of 3 times, admitting to murder. He said Hoa intended to kill someone because of a conflict with Tuan over buying sex. He participated in the crime because he had a good relationship with Hoa and wanted to share the money from selling the motorbike. 1 year later, at the trial on December 9th, 1998, Hao withdrew his confession. He said he was with a woman on the night of the murder. After being arrested, he was forced to confess. The previous confessions were all pre-written by the criminal police team. They couldn't be signed. The head of the Tuong Duong City Criminal Police Team denied torturing Hao. After 2 hearings, the prosecutor proposed to withdraw the prosecution case. On March 19, 1999, the court issued a decision allowing the procuracy to withdraw the prosecution file due to insufficient evidence. However, just a month later, the prosecutor prosecuted again without adding any new evidence. On April 19, 1999, in the 3rd trial, the court used Hoa's 2 letters of denunciation as main evidence, found Hao guilty of intentional murder, and sentenced him to suspended death. According to the verdict, Hoa had the intention to kill Tuan due to a conflict while buying sex together. At around 8:00 a.m. on July 24, 1997, when he heard Hoa invite him to kill Tuan, Hao immediately agreed. The 2 discussed getting Tuan drunk and then took action. Around 9 p.m. that day, the 2 tricked Tuan into going to the house to eat and drink. Hoa hugged Tuan from behind so that Hao could get the prepared rope. After committing the crime, they both went to dispose of the body. The details in the judgment were inconsistent with Hoa's denunciation letter, such as the fact that Hoa was the one who held the hammer to hit Tuan's head, not Hao. The prosecutor said that the defendant could not prove that he did not commit a crime, so the large amount of evidence presented by the prosecutor proved that the defendant was guilty. Hao's defense lawyer said this was a myth. Ridiculous. He said that the conviction of Hao for intentional murder lacked both direct evidence and indirect evidence, and could not form a chain of evidence. The lawyer pointed out that the 2 letters denouncing Hao written by Hoa during his escape had many unreasonable points. At the same time, the case has no evidence linking Hao. The authorities only found a knife sheath. There were no fingerprints on it. Footprints at the scene of the body disposal did not belong to Hao. Other murder weapons and blood-stained clothes were also missing. The court found that Hoa and Hao left the motorbike carrying the body at Lai Fong's car repair shop in Tao Duong. But in 2 identifications on July 31st and August 3rd, 1997, Fong did not recognize Hao, only recognized Hoa through photos. On December 31st, 5 months after the incident, Fong said he recognized Hao. According to the lawyer, Fong's testimony was not convincing. After sentencing, Hao firmly pleaded not guilty and appealed. On June 25, 1999, the appellate court announced to uphold the verdict. On May 28, 2003, after more than 2 years of trial, the court ruled to reduce Hao's sentence to life imprisonment. By 2006, the sentence was further reduced to 20 years in prison. Hao still refused to plead guilty, even tearing up the decision paper. Hao's mother, Mrs. Trio Kak Phuong, sought justice for her child for many years. Her husband passed away in 2004 at the age of 65 after suffering a brain hemorrhage due to grief. She alone ran to the judicial authorities to request a retrial with the belief that, "My son did not kill anyone." After his father's death, Hao suffered from mental illness and was determined to be unable to serve his sentence. But because he did not plead guilty, he was never released from prison. Hao's family did not know that Hoa had been executed under man's identity. They always thought that Hoa was hiding somewhere. If only they could find him, they could exonerate Hao. Over the past few years, Ms. Phuong has traveled almost all over China looking for Hoa. In 2008, Ms. Phuong learned that Hoa had died under the name Duong Kien Man from Diu Jialien, Deputy Secretary of the Political and Legal Committee of Tuong Duong City. Mr. Diu is said to have revealed this secret when he was about to retire because he sympathized with her efforts of more than 10 years of fighting for her children. Ms. Phuong immediately went with her lawyer to Man's hometown to research, collect evidence, and then reported Duong Kien Man was not really executed to the prosecutor's office. After reviewing records and questioning investigators, they confirmed that the person executed was in fact Truong Van Hoa. Thus, 7 years after death row prisoner Truong Van Hoa was executed in 2009, the People's Procuracy of Hubei Province confirmed his true identity. "I didn't kill anyone. I know my case is not easy to fix, and I don't want to cause more trouble for the judge. Please, Judge of the Provincial Supreme Court, to sentence me to death and immediately execute it, as then my mother doesn't need to complain anymore," Hao wrote in a letter dated August 24, 2009. In September 2011, Hao's case attracted widespread media attention, with legal experts calling for a retrial of the case, but there were no changes. Ms. Phuong said the authorities promised that as long as Hao wrote a confession, there would be a way to release him immediately. In 2013, feeling sorry for his mother, Hao signed a confession prepared by his mother, but in return only received a 7-month reduction in prison. In June 2016, after nearly 20 years of efforts by the Hao family to complain, the Supreme People's Procuracy directed the Hubei Provincial Procuracy to reinvestigate the case. In October 2016, a lawyer participating in the investigation revealed to the press that there were major evidence problems in Hao's case that needed re-examination and handling. However, up to now, no media has reported on the progress of the case.